Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I'm your host, Denise, and I'm going to get right to this review. My movie review this week is actually a Netflix review, and the name of the movie is titled Unfrosted. Okay, I got to tell you, I kept seeing this title scroll through my Netflix, 1 through 10 movies to watch. And I just, kept scrolling by. And then I finally decided to just stop and see what this movie was all about. And I'm glad I did. This movie stars Jerry Seinfeld, Amy Schumer, Melissa McCarthy, Hugh Grant, and Jim Gaffigan. They are the main characters in this movie. And oh, by the way, Jerry Seinfeld is the chief writer and director. So if you are familiar with or have watched any comedy with any of those people that I just mentioned, you know that you are in for some laughs, okay? So this movie is about, it takes place in 1963, Michigan. So business rivals Kellogg's and Post, the cereal entities of those companies, compete to create a cake that would change breakfast forever. So, we've got our Post and Kellogg cereals that obviously are enjoyed with milk. So that was, basically how those two companies rolled, and they were always, obviously competing to see which cereal brand would be number one and which kids would like better. And of course, there's just tons and tons of sugar thrown into these cereals to make them taste great, as Tony the Tiger would say. I am telling you, the cast was really, really good. And there are also unexpected cameo appearances in this movie that I wasn't aware of. And they just kind of popped up. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this person was in this movie. Oh, I didn't know this person was in this movie. So if you got cameos from people like Christian Slater, John Hamm, Peter Dinklage, Cedric the Entertainer, and a host of other fine actors and some comedians. This movie is silly. It is full of slapstick, physical comedy, corny jokes, corny dialogue. You kind of have to read between the lines to get some of the jokes. But I'm telling you, if you were growing up in the 1960s and eating these cereals, you will understand all of the humor attached to this. You've got, not only the cereals were popular back then, but of course, they're mascots. You've got Frosted Flakes, you've got Apple Jacks, Fruit Loops, Captain Crunch, Rice Krispies, and they have their mascots. And these mascots are all through this movie. And the nostalgia for me was quite a trip down memory lane and gave me a chuckle to actually see the mascots, not in cartoon form, like of course you see on the box, but in real live mascot form. So once they decide, those two companies, Kellogg's and Post, are trying to come up with some type of breakfast food that doesn't require milk. Well, now you've got the milkman and his union feeling themselves because, what is, breakfast without milk. So you got them, having a problem with this because they've heard through the grapevine what's about to happen. So you got these two companies just going back and forth. They're going in their labs trying to figure out, what they're going to do and how they're going to create this particular breakfast. And when it's all said and done, they have created the Pop-Tart. And I have my box of Pop-Tarts. This is a value pack of Pop-Tarts. And I actually did find an unflavored strawberry selection in my grocery store. So, obviously the makers of Pop-Tarts won. And when both cereal companies had their version of this new cake, if you will, on the shelves, it was all about the name. Okay? So Post has their name for their exact same product, and then Kellogg's has their name. And according to the movie, the name didn't start as Pop-Tart, but we don't know that for sure because the movie is just so silly. So you don't know what's, really true in the sense of how it was created and its name came to be. But the name came to be from a mistake. And I won't tell you what the mistake was and who was responsible for that mistake. But there you have it, Pop-Tarts. Who knew? Now, also in this movie, for nostalgia purposes, you're going to hear about the Cuban Missile Crisis, and you're going to hear about Marjorie Merriweather Post, who is actually a real person. And so you're going to have to delve a little bit deeper after you watch the movie to find out, exactly what her connection to the Post Company is. And it is quite lengthy. Okay? So when you do watch this movie, you're going to have some laugh out loud moments. Now, this movie, although it's silly and crazy and funny, think of Saturday Night Live funny. For kids, it might go over their heads because of the time period, and they may not get the cereal jokes. But I'm telling you, the scene that had me laughing out loud, almost uncontrollably, was the funeral scene. So I'm going to leave that there, and you're just going to have to watch the movie to find out. But I thought it was a cute little, silly, little, stupid, funny movie to watch during the middle of the week. All right? So there you have it. Unfrosted on Netflix. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into my Nailed It for this week. And my Nailed It comes from one of my favorite classic movies, Boys in the Hood. And this particular scene was Lawrence Fishburne's character. And this is the scene where he is explaining to Trey and Ricky what gentrification is and how it affects their neighborhood and how it affects them as young black men growing up in their community. And I got to tell you, it's my Nailed It because when he was explaining gentrification, I got it. Furious Styles laid it down. He left no stone unturned. He explained it, and I'm like, so this is how it works, and this is how it affects the community and every single person in it. I thought that was a fantastic piece of dialogue for that movie. So that is my Nailed It for this week. Furious Styles, played by Lawrence Fishburne, explaining gentrification to Trey and Ricky in the movie Boys in the Hood. All right, folks, so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember that we are available on every podcast platform in the universe. Just type in, have you seen it with Denise, and there I will be. But I won't be here next week, taking a little respite. And so I will see you in 2 weeks. All right? So until then, moviegoers, you know exactly what to do. I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. And go get yourself some Pop-Tarts. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.